that is like exactly what I felt, right? And I've been like battling, and it's caused a lot of issues with me and Laura, because because I wanted to defend myself, and and I don't always do it the best. Like we have all sorts. Me and her have all sorts of discussions about like trolling, and even how I reacted yesterday, and I did definitely react from an emotional state yesterday. Uh, I didn't want to have any interaction with Aaron. I didn't know that they were even going to be at that meeting. I went in there, and Aaron's around, like around everyone that I like. I care for Serge. I care for him. I care for Michael. I care for Audit. But everyone was like around Aaron and Streets, and like I'm not going to go by them. I'm not going to sit by them. I don't want. I can't. How can I sit by them? First off, I don't want to cause a scene.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, at 10.
Morning. The word today is 86. It's like Toastmasters. Lipstick on the pig.
Let's see, 4 more minutes, you bums in there, right? Hey, Errol, do you know what year it is? Errol, do you know what year it is? Errol, hi, we haven't started. Errol. Dr. Errol, do you know what year it is? We can speak now. It's not a Brown Act. Do you know what year it is, Errol? You're like a freshman in high school, sir. Buddy, do you know what year it is? Do you have your commission cam on? Judge, do you have your commission cam on? It's not a Brown Act right now. Hi, Fabian, do you have your commission cam on?
Oh, I gotta set myself up. Yeah. I forgot. Shit. What's the date today?
What have y'all been talking about we don't have a recording of, which is why everybody in the government's supposed to have a cam on, but they don't want to listen.
What's the date today? The 25th?
When you do all those dirtbag conversations that nobody gets to hear, that's why you're all supposed to have a cam
Yeah,
on.
thank you.
Because you're dirty. It's not a Brown Act moment. You can talk back with me. I'm a person here too, who knows what's going on. I want to support this. You know I do. This guy doesn't know what year it is. I just heard the recording. This is twice, 2 years in a row. And bro, what the problem is, one, you don't get the right proper sleep either. And you have too many things you're doing. You don't even know what year it is. There is a thing in the Bible too, it's called rest. He does give us an option to rest. Not a Brown Act moment. What did you two just say? We're supposed to have that as a recording. Yeah, get it. You can just opt in at any time. You can just wear a cam and show the whole United States of America you're the leader. That you got the lead from Jonathan, though.
This is gonna be epic. This might be my best speech yet.
And you know I love you. You know, this is the same thing you tell your children. If anybody's got something, when they're doing the wrong, you try to get them to go in the right way. Hey, come on, chick, can we get you going the right way?
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Mr. Sibley, Madam Secretary, Acting Inspector General Florence Yu, Mr. City Attorney Carlos De La Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. It is 9:30 a.m. This is the regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect that Commissioners Sellers, Shields, Calanche, Garcia, and Sanchez Gordon are present, and we have a quorum. Mr. President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It's requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the board secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters with assistive listening devices or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard on item number 2 on the agenda. We dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will then be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. The order of the speakers will be a speaker in this room will go first, then we will take a speaker watching today's meeting on Zoom. We will alternate between speakers in the room and Zoom for a total of 45 minutes. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you're free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off topic and your public comment period will be concluded. Members of the public who choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public their opportunity to present at the meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there's a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct to cause an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that such behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with one and only one warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and or removal from the meeting. Before we move to the agenda items, I'd like to address a recent news story about the department's recruitment division. I believe that I can speak for all members of the Police Commission when I say that the behavior alleged is unacceptable. The Los Angeles Police Department prides itself on its high recruitment standards and its merit-based selection process. To hear, even in allegations, that this may not be the case is concerning, and I'd like to assure the public that the department is conducting a full investigation. The Office of the Inspector General is monitoring this investigation, and they have from the onset of those allegations. And I thank them in advance for their continued attention to this matter. The other item I'd like to mention is we're going to be moving agenda item, regular agenda item 4C, the department's report, to a later date when the speaker is available to address the board. With that, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief McDonald.
Morning, President Suthers, Vice President Shields, Commissioners, Acting Inspector General Yu, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Mr. Sidley. Today I'll be discussing significant events from the previous 2 weeks, providing a crime update, and discussing our personnel strength. During the previous 2 weeks, we had 2 officer-involved shootings. The first involves Metropolitan Division. On February 11th, at approximately 9:55, Harbor Division uniformed officers responded to a radio call of a 415 man with a gun at Western Avenue and Lomita Boulevard. When the officers arrived in the area, they observed the suspect, later identified as Samuel Condi, armed with a revolver and walking east on 254th Street from Bellport Avenue. That's in the Harbor City area. As they attempted to contact Condi, he began to run, and the officers initiated a foot pursuit. Condi ultimately ran to the rear of the residence at 25718 Bellport Avenue, which was overgrown with foliage and littered with large mounds of debris. Metropolitan Division K-9 personnel responded, searched the yard, determined that Condi was hiding inside a metal storage shed. Condi was given multiple commands to surrender, however, he refused. The officers requested the resources of Metropolitan Division Special Weapon and Tactics, who responded and began negotiating with Condi to surrender. Approximately 1 hour later, Condi was observed in the yard holding a revolver while walking in the direction of officers, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Despite being struck by gunfire, Condi refused to surrender, prompting the use of a beanbag shotgun, a taser, and a directed canine bite. He was subsequently taken into custody without further incident. Los Angeles Fire Department personnel who were staged at the scene immediately rendered aid to Condi. He was then transported by rescue ambulance to a local hospital where he was treated for his wounds and cleared for booking. No officers or other community members were injured during the incident. Condi's handgun has not been located, however. A discharged 38 caliber cartridge casing was recovered in the yard near where he was taken into custody. Force Investigation Division investigators responded to the scene and continue to investigate this incident. The second OAS was in Wilshire Division. On February 19th, Wilshire Area Uniformed Gang Enforcement Detail officers were assisting with a burglary task force when they became involved in a vehicle pursuit of a possible burglary suspect. During the pursuit, the suspect, who was later identified as Quentin Monk, drove to the area of Oakwood Avenue and June Street, entering a cul-de-sac.
This is not going to go well.
Turned the vehicle around and accelerated toward officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. Monk refused to stop and continued to flee in his vehicle as a pursuit continued, terminating at the intersection of Beverly Boulevard and Wilton Avenue when he collided with an occupied vehicle. After the collision, Monk attempted to escape on foot but was quickly taken into custody. Milk was not struck during the OAS, and no officers were injured during the incident. However, the driver of the vehicle involved in the collision was transported to a local hospital and treated for minor injuries. Force Investigation Division investigators responded to the scene and are investigating this incident as well. Year to date, we've had 5 officer-involved shootings, the same number as this time last year. We had a pursuit that ended in a traffic collision on February 16th, about 23:50 hours. Central Patrol officers responded to the area of 1100 East 5th Street following 2 recent radio calls, one of which reported 3 armed men wearing ski masks at a private party club event. While on scene, a security guard from the event pointed out a gray Mercedes and shouted, "They have a gun." Officers tactically approached the vehicle, which was occupied by 2 males. As officers attempted to order them out of the vehicle, the suspects ignored commands and fled at a high rate of speed. A vehicle pursuit was initiated at 5th and Alameda. As suspects entered the Santa Monica Freeway, officers lost visual contact, but the air unit located the vehicle as it exited at Los Angeles Street. While exiting, the suspect vehicle ran a red light and collided with 2 uninvolved motorists. All individuals remained in their vehicles until officers arrived.
Attempted murder.
The passenger in the vehicle, passenger in the suspect vehicle and the driver of one of the uninvolved vehicles sustained fractures and were transported to a local hospital for treatment. The driver of the suspect vehicle, identified as a juvenile, complained of pain but had no significant injuries. The driver and passenger of the third vehicle were not injured. The juvenile suspect was booked for felony evading, and due to the seriousness of the injuries sustained, the multidisciplinary investigation team responded to the scene and is handling the investigation. On February 22nd, at approximately 2010 hours, Central Area Uniform Patrol officers were in the vicinity of Grand Avenue and Washington Boulevard when they observed a motorcyclist believed to be part of a larger group seen in the area earlier. Officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop, but the motorcyclist failed to yield and subsequently crashed into a streetlight. Officers immediately stopped, took the subject into custody, and ran the motorcyclist.
You guys got water fountain in this place?
Right outside. And then, tell me, do you want to
To
go
the security?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was gonna get a drink real quick. Oh, man. I was gonna be putting some stuff together in there. It's a public service.
You work for the LAPD? You work for LAPD?
All involved in the silver BMW 3 Series. Surveillance footage recovered from each location helped link these incidents, and during the investigation, officers recovered a lighter dropped by one of the suspects, which has been submitted for DNA analysis. The suspect vehicle was later found and impounded in the city of Palmdale, where detectives recovered gloves and expired identification cards belonging to burglary victims. Efforts to identify the suspects are ongoing with assistance from multiple divisions and investigative resources. In Devonshire, during the early mornings of February 17th, 3 businesses, a Taco Bell, Yonder Coffee, and Jamba Juice, were burglarized in quick succession. In each case, suspects shattered the front glass doors to gain entry, ransacked the locations, and fled. CCTV footage suggests these burglaries were committed by the same group who used a blue Hyundai sedan during at least one of the crimes. As of now, no investigative lead has been established to identify the suspects, but a crime alert is pending. In Van Nuys, officers responded to an attempted residential burglary at 8:30 a.m. on February 17th. A group of 5 suspects arrived in a 2006 silver BMW with 4 individuals entering the victim's property via the backyard. Thanks to an alert neighbor who contacted police, suspects fled before gaining entry. The vehicle, later identified as having an active felony warrant from West LA, was impounded by the LA County Sheriff's Department, but the suspects remain at large. These incidents highlight a troubling trend of organized burglary crews operating in the valley. The department is using every available tool to identify and apprehend those responsible. We're coordinating efforts across multiple divisions and agencies, ensuring information is shared efficiently. As captured on news yesterday on February 22nd at about 4:30 in the afternoon, a group of bicyclists attacked a driver near San Vicente and Carrillo Drive. The incident began as a verbal dispute and escalated when some suspects vandalized the victim's vehicle, prompting him to get out of the car. The group then physically assaulted him, punching and kicking him even after he fell to the ground. Wilshire detectives are actively investigating. Video evidence confirms that the suspects damaged the vehicle and assaulted the victim. Detectives have identified witnesses, reviewed additional footage, and linked this group to a robbery at a Rampart area 7-Eleven on the same day. The same suspects also attempted to enter a 7-Eleven in West Los Angeles, but employees recognizing the threat locked the doors, activated the alarm, preventing another crime. A news release has been issued and efforts to identify the suspects is ongoing, working with other divisions and law enforcement partners to compare video footage and explore investigative leads. Wilshire detectives will follow up with the victim and continue coordinating with specialized units on strategy to address large groups of disruptive bicyclists. Over the past 4 weeks, overall crime trends in Los Angeles have shown a slight decline, with combined persons and property crimes down just under 1% compared to the previous period. Persons crimes have decreased by 3.8%, while property crimes remain stable. While homicides remain down 22.2% year-to-date compared to 2024, we have seen an increase in the past month, with homicides rising by 92.3%, or 12 more homicides compared to the prior 4 weeks. Additionally, the number of shooting victims has increased by 37.7%, or 26 more shooting victims in the past month, with notable spikes in Southeast, Topanga, and Southwest areas. On a positive note, aggravated assaults have decreased 3.5%, or 38 crimes over the past 4 weeks. We're continuing to monitor this activity. However, no trend or pattern has been associated with the increase. Robberies are down 4.6% over the last month. Burglaries have increased by 18.6% over the last month. Several divisions, including Devonshire, Olympic, Van Nuys, Pacific, Northeast, and Topanga, have experienced notable increases. Residential burglaries have risen sharply by almost 34%, with significant spikes in Olympic, Pacific, Devonshire, and Topanga areas. Non-residential burglaries have increased by 4.6%, with Devonshire and West LA seeing the largest jumps. Several burglary crews have been identified as possibly been involved. Our detectives are working to apprehend those suspects responsible, and we continue to deploy additional resources to troubled areas. Vehicle thefts remain relatively stable, down 0.5%, or 9 incidents over the last 4 weeks. And then on our update on our personnel strength as of February 24th, sworn personnel is currently holding at 8778. Civilian personnel staffing is at 2664, and reserve officers are at 379. That completes my report this morning, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief. Just one question. I'd like to go to personnel that are deployed for the fires regarding access to their homes, escorts to their homes, traffic control. What percentage or what number of people do we have still doing that? And is it still 12 on, 12 off in deployment?
Yeah, we have still a contingent out there, and it varies. We have, I believe it's 2 and 20 a day, but I'll get you the exact numbers. The CHP are still deployed in the Palisades area, assisting with crime suppression efforts, and the National Guard are still on scene as well. So we've been able to retain those assets for an extended period of time, and they have been very, very helpful. We have also been able to, I think, deter people from coming into that area and doing what otherwise might be burglaries or looting events.
And Chief, going back to your comments about the February 22nd attack at San Vicente and Carrillo, these bicycle crews have been extremely problematic over the last year. We had a presentation by the task force here several months ago. What's being done to address that? I do know that in some instances they obviously are becoming a little bit more aggressive. They're taunting people out of their cars. When they get out of their cars, unfortunately, they've done to this gentleman, to others. What actions are we taking, and does it seem to be organized in any way?
Yeah, it does seem to be organized. The actions were taken as an investigative follow-up using a video to try and identify the individuals as best we can. As I mentioned, that they had shown up at 2 other 7-Elevens. There'll be video most likely at those locations. Some of these are masked up as they do this, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But they're trying to put this together, identify these individuals, and hold them accountable. When you have serial events like this, it's a relatively, in this case, 20 to 30, not small, but the same people doing this over and over again. So as we get investigative leads, I think with some arrests, we can have a major impact on seeing the reoccurrence of this.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up the floor for other questions or comments. Vice President Shields.
Thank you, President Southers, and thank you, Chief, for the report. I'll go back to the news report that President Southers mentioned at the outset. Obviously, the hearing about allegations that there were racist, sexist comments being made by officers, particularly those in the recruiting office, is very troubling, to say the least. And not only is it troubling that officers are making these types of statements, but also that they're making them so openly, which tells me, it indicates either that everyone thought that this was acceptable behavior, or that they thought that nothing would happen to them if they got caught, which is, again, troubling in terms of how seriously is the department taking these types of allegations, and how seriously does the department take allegations of improper remarks being made. And I know we've had people come to the commission and complain that certain things that they've been called,
where did it originate
like
from?
Black Fool, was seen as non-disciplinary. I think both the Inspector General's office and I personally, and potentially other commissioners, feel like that's not the appropriate result. So how is it that, and I understand that individual discipline is outside the purview of the commission. That's not something that LA City Charter gives us any authority over. But I'd ask the Executive Director, Django, to work with the department to give us as commissioners more visibility into the types of discipline that is being meted out for these types of improper comments, and also other things of concern that we've talked about before, like DUIs. I think it's important for the commission to see more regularly what that looks like. And so, Chief, to you, and I understand there's an ongoing investigation and you can't get into any of those details, but can you talk generally about, what steps you've taken in terms of dealing with the people who are involved, ensuring that the whistleblower is not retaliated against, and also, given that this was done in the recruiting office, whether there's any steps to look at people who may have been rejected based on animus or any other improper motivation.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the concern and the support that we've gotten from the Commission. working with the IG right from the beginning. As soon as we became aware of this, we put together a team to look at it, internal affairs, and we have relieved and assigned to home those that are involved as we can determine. The investigation is still ongoing. It led to a further individual being identified, and then later a command staff officer on an unrelated, directly to this case, but not dissimilar allegation. So we move forward. We take it very seriously. I think that you'll see as the investigation proceeds, we'll be able to keep you up to speed a little bit more on what we found and what actions will be taken. But of great concern to all of you and certainly to all of us that where recruiting is such a critical piece of our ability to be able to move forward, that it be done as well as it possibly can be and beyond reproach. And so the people who work in those areas are held to a very high standard. This was very disappointing to everybody. But we took immediate action, brought in or worked with the Inspector General, and as we continue to move forward with this, people who will be held appropriately accountable for their behavior.
And is the department taking any steps to make sure that the person who disclosed this information is not being penalized in any way?
Yeah, it was an anonymous complaint, but certainly if identification is made, that's a consideration we'll take seriously as well. Sure.
Thank you, Vice President Shields. Mr. Flancher.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Question. Thank you, Chief, for your report. Could you just elaborate a little bit more on those 12 new homicides, 90% plus increase since the last since a similar time period? What areas were these homicides?
Yeah, I got a brief yesterday, and I'd have to get back to you on the specifics of that without going through all the points there. I'm happy to do that. But there were a couple of multiples around the city, and I can get to you on the areas, but that certainly impacted the numbers. Multiples meaning that the same suspect is involved in those crimes. Yeah, if I could, I'll get back to you offline on those numbers. Sure.
Thank you. We now go to agenda item number 2, public comment.
That commission came on when that conversation
Our
happens.
first speaker is Jenna. My name is Jenna Miscavige. My uncle David Miscavige is a leader of Scientology. I was born and raised in Scientology, and just before my 2nd birthday, my parents moved our family right here to Los Angeles to join Scientology's most dedicated group, where they signed 1 billion-year contracts, dedicating all of our souls, lifetime after lifetime, to Scientology. Joining this group meant I would never live in a home with my parents for the entirety of my childhood. It also meant being deprived of an education and being worked for long hours each day, digging trenches, hauling rocks, and being exposed to dangerous chemicals and handling asbestos, all before the age of 12 years old. It meant being shipped across the country from my family at 12 years old and not seeing my parents but for a few moments for the remainder of my childhood. It meant being forbidden to call them and physically restrained from doing so, while having no way of communicating with them that wasn't monitored and intercepted by Scientology. It meant years of soul-destroying interrogations while being in a room I could not leave, being asked questions of a sexual nature day after day for years while being videotaped. Today, I am a mother of 2 beautiful children, and only now can I fully understand what this government-sanctioned, tax-exempt organization really takes away from the children who grow up there, and the devastating lifelong damage it does to those who have no way of protecting themselves. And they do this through controlling their parents. The document you're about to hear is in LAPD's possession via a computer hard drive that was obtained as part of the planning masters of the case. The hard drive was imaged, metadata secured, it's been forensically authenticated by LAPD, and lays bare Scientology's corruption.
They're coming to take me away, haha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho hee hee, haha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats, and they're coming to take me away, ha ha. trees and